in the car. Get in the car.
Yeah,
Get in the car. Get in the car.
I'm not going to move until you move.
Get in the car.
I need you to move away
Get
from
in
the
the
car.
car. Get in the car. I need you to get in the car.
This is public space.
Tough guy. Ha 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 ha. Get the in the car, tough guy. Get the in the car, tough guy. That's what I thought, you coward. You coward. Get in the car too now, you coward. Get the out of here. Yeah, you thought you were all tough. You gotta get back in the car.
The Los Angeles Police Department are criminalizing homelessness.
Step back.
You step back.
Thank you.
You step back.
I don't want you to
You
get
step
hit.
back.
Move.
Well, you move. You move.
I'm not moving.
You move.
I'm telling
I'm
you
not
to move.
moving. I'm not moving. Public space, bro. What's up?
Okay, don't spin in my
Don't spin my face. Don't spin my face. Don't spin my face. You don't touch me. Don't touch me.
I don't want
Don't
you
touch me. Don't. You don't care about public safety, bro. Get the out of here. Get the out.
I'm not getting
Get
baby.
the out. Get the out. Get the fucking car. Get the out.
Okay.
Get the out. Stop shooting people. Get the out of here. Get the out, you losers. LAPD shot and killed some. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get the out.
Many activists like this man here are trying to stick up for the unhoused, a set of citizens who have their rights violated daily. We have seen many instances in LA of politicians teaming up with local police to force the unhoused out of public spaces. The problem is they don't give solutions. They simply pay the LAPD to clear whatever area they are assigned, usually with brutal force. And guess who supports it?
All right, the Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva vowing to clear homeless encampments from Venice Beach.
That would be the arm of Fox News giving ample airtime to this guy.
I mean, I don't know if it's just this detachment from reality.
Sheriff Alex Villanueva, who you may remember.
So let's do a quick run through of the gangs of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. All of them have stuff in common. You usually have official gang tattoos, a hand signal, and a way to join, usually by shooting or killing a civilian or doing something like falsifying paperwork. These are just a few of the gangs operating within the LA Sheriff's Department.
Is allegedly a member of one of the LA County Sheriff's gangs. There has been institutional failure in protecting the rights of the unhoused throughout the city that needs a progressive voice to treat them with dignity and respect, to land on their feet and not criminalize it. Unfortunately, with LA serving as host of this year's Super Bowl, the spotlight is once again shown on police misconduct and forced evictions in the city of Inglewood, where SoFi Stadium serves as the most expensive of its kind with a monstrous price tag of $5.5 billion, not to mention taxpayers contributing nearly $100 million over time. It sadly appears cleanup is underway as we speak. Workers have been directed to clear homeless encampments, as the Los Angeles Times captured via photographer Wally Scalise. You can see the emotions from the unhoused. Imagine having nowhere to go. Finally finding camaraderie and a community, then being whisked away for one game. Homeless advocate Madeline Devilers thinks not enough is being done to help those being asked to leave. Quote, "I think it's all about appearances. There's no equivalent push to get them in housing. It's just get out. They are just trying to survive," said Sophie Villalpando, who works with some of the displaced residents. It feels like authorities are removing people so they won't be seen. The controversial sweep comes as elected officials in LA have increasingly launched high-profile encampment shutdowns in response to a worsening humanitarian crisis. There were an estimated 48,000 people living on the streets in LA County at the start of the pandemic. The strategy of sweeps, critics say, has prioritized aesthetics and the complaints of neighbors, leading people in established tent communities to be scattered into more dangerous living conditions.
How serious is the homelessness problem in this country?
Well, the problem of homelessness has been getting worse in this country compared to a few years ago. I think it's largely due to the lack of affordable housing and housing getting more expensive, and also what people earn.
Via Kenneth Mejia, a housing justice activist who is running for LA City Controller, the LAPD budget is in the billions with a B. Reallocating that money to fund our neighbors in need is quite a start. Maybe, just maybe, the states could take a page out of Finland's playbook. The CEO of Finland's largest housing nonprofit, the Y Foundation, has been working in the area of homelessness and social welfare since the 80s. His strategy has worked in the country. We have had a constant policy of providing affordable social housing. The state finances this, and in each new housing area, especially in the big cities, at least 25% of housing must be affordable social housing. That has kept the supply to a reasonable level. This has been probably the main reason why we don't have the kind of housing crises that most European countries have at the moment, he told CBC. Keeping people homeless instead of providing homes for them is always more expensive for the society, he said. According to the largest study on homelessness in American history, the solution is rather simple. Researchers analyzed everyone who was houseless in Santa Clara County between 2007 to 2012. Between costs related to healthcare, social welfare, and the justice system, Santa Clara County as a whole spent $520 million on services for homeless residents. Gabriel Cannon of Mother Jones concluded it costs roughly $100,000 per person annually if they are homeless. The study detailed the efforts of the nonprofit group Destination Home, which housed 400 of the people tracked in the report before they received housing. They created public costs of $62,500 a year, and housing costs less than $20,000 per person. That's more than 42 grand in savings every year, more than offsetting the cost of housing. The state of Utah reduced the number of people living on the streets by almost 75% by giving them access to permanent housing, no strings attached. The strategy, once again called Housing First, gives homeless people the stability that's lacking in temporary solutions like shelters and halfway houses. The tactic began as a test by NYU psychologist Sam Semberis in 1992. More on that in a moment. The newly housed each receive about $800 a month in supplemental security income and pay a third of that toward their rent. The balance is paid via federal vouchers along with some Utah funds. Semberis tested his theory on 242 chronically homeless people in New York City. 5 years later, 88% were still living in their apartments at a lower cost to taxpayers and the state government. A 2017 Rand Corporation analysis of the Housing for Health program in LA County concluded that the county saved about 20% by putting people with complex mental health issues in supportive housing rather than relying on law enforcement and emergency room visits, wrote Vox. And guess what? It's true. People with untreated mental illness are 16 times more likely to be killed during a police encounter than other civilians approached or stopped by law enforcement, according to a study released by the Treatment Advocacy Center. Per the LAPD's own quarterly reports, approximately 1 in 3 times an LA officer uses force, it's against an unhoused person. Some suffer from mental illness. The data concludes a police officer who holds rounds of ammunition and a firearm shouldn't be answering the call. In LA, an internal review by LAPD reported that 37% of police shootings last year involved suspects with documented signs of mental illness. LAist writes, crime data emphasizes how people experiencing homelessness are disproportionately victims of violent crime. In 2018, 1 in 7 homicide victims in LA was homeless.
We're asking cops to do too much in this country.
True, but also don't arrest and or accost our neighbors for petty crimes. Homeless people are cited or arrested for things that the rest of us might not even realize are crimes. In 2018, at least 1,424 people experiencing homelessness were cited for sitting on the sidewalk in the city of LA. At least 468 people were cited for having more than 60 gallons of personal property. At least 415 people cited for possessing a shopping cart. Going from homelessness into a home changes a person's psychological identity from outcast to member of the community, Semberis told Mother Jones. You actually need housing to achieve sobriety and stability, not the other way around.